So do you expect, just to be clear, do you expect indictments and prosecutions?
I'm not a lawyer. In my view, we have the evidence to be able to move forward and bring about justice, yes, to prosecute and indict those responsible.
I'm Mayor Basshole. I hate America. I love illegals. I will now give them money. I take it from Whitey and give to them.
Good evening, America. Unless you're watching from California, then maybe not so good. Just kidding. Sort of, it's your favorite president, some say the best ever. And tonight, I've got a few things to say. So grab your popcorn, turn off the fake news, and let's talk about what's really going on. It's going to be good, really good.
Now, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard revealing what this audience has known all along. A cabal of high-ranking officials led by then-President Barack Obama, CIA Director John Brennan, and Hillary Clinton, among others, took the world on a wild goose chase to try and take down their political enemy, Donald Trump, no matter the casualties along the way. DNA Tulsi Gabbard is now calling for prosecutions, revealing declassified documents from the Russia collusion made-up investigation, which she says detail a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest level of the Obama White House to stop incoming President Donald Trump. The cabal included Barack Obama, John Brennan, James Clapper, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Jim Comey, and Susan Rice, who pushed a made-up story that President Trump colluded with Russia to win the 2016 election, so the cabal would not lose their grip on power. All of this exactly as then Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, Judiciary Committee member John Ratcliffe, and President Trump himself told us so many times from day one.
The fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next president commander-in-chief of the United States. And so they decided that they would do everything possible to try to undermine his ability to do what voters tasked President Trump to do. So creating this piece of manufactured intelligence that claims that Russia had helped Donald Trump get elected contradicted every other assessment that had been made previously in the months leading up to the election that said exactly the opposite, that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to try to, quote unquote, hack the United States election for the presidency of the United States. So the effect of what President Obama and his senior national security team did was subvert the will of the American people, undermining our democratic republic, and enacting what would be essentially a years-long coup against President Trump, who was duly elected by the American people.
Yeah. Now, I want to go back to something Devin Nunes said, which is exactly what you're saying right now. And he said, after all of our investigation, we found that there was no intelligence. There was no intelligence actually indicating that Trump colluded with Russia. And what happened? Because there was a presidential daily briefing that was presented to President Obama every day, and every day it said the same thing. We have no evidence of collusion. We have no evidence that Russia did this with Donald Trump. So what happened? How did they actually get the public to believe, and half the public believed, that actually Trump did collude?
Well, this is the thing, Maria, when you look at the assessments that were made, not just by one element of the intelligence community, but in my role as the Director of National Intelligence, I oversee 18 different intelligence community elements. And in the months leading up to the November 2016 election, the intelligence community agreed that there was no intelligence that reflected that Russia was trying to hack the election in favor of either candidate. The evidence showed, the intelligence showed that, again, Russia did not have either the intent nor the capability to be able to impact the outcome of the United States election. So it was very striking when we look back again at the documents that I declassified and released that shows there was a shift in early December, the first week of December, again, another document was produced by the intelligence community, a president's daily brief that was consistent with every other assessment that was done previously leading up to the election. Russia did not, this is after the election now, did not attempt to affect the outcome of the American election. That was never published. Hours before it would have gone into President Obama's President's Daily Brief, it was pulled by a senior level intelligence official saying that they had to pull it because they had received new guidance. The very next day, this meeting was called, a National Security Council meeting, bringing together all of the senior leaders of President Obama's cabinet, and the topic that was put forward was a sensitive matter. The tasks that came out of that meeting was coming from President Obama directing the intelligence community, then Obama's ODNI director Clapper, to produce a document, to produce an intelligence assessment that detailed not if, but how Moscow affected the outcome of the election that had already occurred, electing Donald Trump to the presidency. This document that they published in January of 2017 was the foundational groundwork that they continued to reference over and over and over again to enact this years-long coup against President Trump.
Now, I know that Devin Nunes came out with the Nunes report and a lot of other reports after that to indicate everything that you're saying. And I guess the worst of the reports, the real evidence, is the reports of most recent, right? The last reports are the worst reports that we're going to see. And I understand that there is more, perhaps, that you are going to come out with next week. And I was told that that's why they raided Mar-a-Lago, that they wanted to find the Trump-Russia documents that indicated there was absolutely no collusion and that there was no evidence to even start such an investigation. But Trump didn't have it there in Mar-a-Lago, but that's why they raided his house in 2022. Is that correct?
I don't have the details on the specifics of the Mar-a-Lago raid itself. Those are within the possession of the FBI. But there's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's presidency and subverting the will of the American people. So yes, next week we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it. And that's really the point here that I think is most important, Maria, and you said it in your opening. Accountability is essential for the future of our country, for the American people to have any sense of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. Accountability, action, prosecution, indictments for those who are responsible for trying to steal our democracy is essential for us to make sure that this never happens to our country again.
Yeah, and I want to get to that right now because I've heard talk of a criminal referral. Are you referring this in a criminal matter?
We are referring all of the documents that we have uncovered to the Department of Justice and the FBI for a criminal referral.
Yeah. And do you believe that we will see prosecutions? I mean, our audience wants to know where this story goes from here. Will we ever see anyone held accountable for this incredible lie on the American people?
I will do all that I can, and we have whistleblowers, actually, Maria, coming forward now after we release these documents, because there are people who were around, who were working within the intelligence community at this time, who were so disgusted by what happened. We're starting to see some of them come out of the woodwork here because they, too, like you and I and the American people, want to see justice delivered. So we're going to provide everything that we have, everything that we will continue to gather to the Department of Justice for that direct intent and that direct purpose. There must be indictments. Those responsible, no matter how powerful they are and were at that time, no matter who was involved in creating this treasonous conspiracy against the American people, they all must be held accountable.
So do you expect, just to be clear, do you expect indictments and prosecutions?
I'm not a lawyer. In my view, we have the evidence to be able to move forward and bring about justice, yes, to prosecute and indict those responsible.
I will tell you, and I've said this very publicly, if you're going to stage a coup, you better kill the king. And in this case, they were not able to kill the king, meaning, Donald Trump. And I'm just metaphorically using that because he's not a king. He's the president of the United States, but twice. We have seen twice assassination attempts on him, very public assassination attempts on him. Many people don't know of the other threats against his life. So they were not able to do that. They also, in my case, and I'll speak specifically from me, I went through hell. My family went through hell. But they picked the wrong Irishman, and they picked the wrong Irish family, because we knew from the very beginning, and Steve, I don't think we realized when we were first in the White House in the early days of 2017, just how deep these people and how much they were willing to go. And now what we're learning, and I've known this. I've just written just published a book on it called Pardon of Innocence, because Trump had to use his pardon power to pardon an innocent man. Most people think I spent time in jail and was convicted. And, my case was dismissed because of egregious government misconduct. So we now, do I feel vindicated? I will feel vindicated when I see Barack Obama get, have
Amen.
Handcuffs on, being escorted from his house and being brought into jail.
Flashback.
How involved was John Brennan?
Totally involved. He was totally involved. John Brennan was one of the architects, in my opinion. You look at Brennan, you look at Clapper, you look at them all. But ultimately, the president knew everything. The president knew everything. President Obama and Vice President Biden, they knew everything.
And Comey and Brennan and Clapper, they all were terrible, and they lied to Congress. They spied on my campaign, which is treason. They spied both before and after I won.
The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once but twice. And yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation, specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable. Under John Brennan's leadership, the CIA abused its power to spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Under Biden, the FBI abused its power for political reasons to try to surveil Catholics who attend traditional Latin Mass, labeling them as quote-unquote radical traditionalist Catholics. Personally, just 24 hours after I criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly, there are more examples. The bottom line is this must end.
A few moments later.
The will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016, and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to, again, try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting president of the United States.
Director Gabbard, I'm glad you used the word coup. I also, in some of your reports, the word treason has come up. We're seeing a lot of things coming to light these days, and it's very encouraging for Americans, especially this report, which so many of us knew this was a hoax. But this goes all the way to the top. I mean, this goes all the way to Barack Obama. Will we actually see someone as high up as Barack Obama take responsibility, be accountable, maybe face criminal charges? Is that a possibility here based on the documents that you've released?
Yeah, Rachel, the seriousness of, again, the implications and the consequences of these actions that were taken demand accountability. The American people not only deserve the truth and accountability, when we look at the future of our country as a democratic republic and the American people's ability to have faith that when they go and cast a vote at the ballot box, that the will of the people will be respected by those in government, whether they be Democrats or Republicans, this is literally what is at stake here. So we are referring all of our documents to the Department of Justice for the purpose of accountability and action. No one, no matter who they are, no matter how high up they are or how powerful they may be, no matter who the intelligence officials or professionals were who were a part of this treasonous conspiracy, there must be accountability. The truth must be shown to the American people in order to ensure that there is this faith and trust and integrity in our democratic republic for the sake of the future of our country.
That Tulsi put out, I mean, we're talking about there needs to be criminal prosecution and arrest, you know, lying under oath, putting out a false intelligence report. That's a violation of 18 U.S. Code 1001 that comes with a 7-year prison sentence and up to $250,000 fine. But we're talking about something more nefarious than this. I think that this is a perfect example and reason why there needs to be FISA reform as well. As you know, Maria, that false intelligence report resulted in FISA courts issuing a warrant to illegally surveillance the president of the United States now. And what I can tell you is if we don't stop this, if we don't actually say this will not be tolerated, this is not a Democrat or Republican thing. This is about the health and the sanctity of a constitutional republic. And so there needs to be arrests. This is not partisan. This is simply illegal what they did, and we're simply upholding the law.
I mean, it's just extraordinary. How do you believe they got away with that? Byron, what about that? How was it that this cabal of senior people in the Obama White House was able to convince so many people of this lie when they had no evidence whatsoever of it?
Well, they got away with it because once they leaked these false narratives and false reports, you had big media organizations who just went lock, stock, and barrel, did not fact check, did not go and do the extra work, did not do any due diligence whatsoever. They just followed and towed the company line. And then you have the deep careers in the intelligence community who either they were afraid of being fired or having their clearances revoked, or B, were so concerned about a Donald Trump presidency that they felt it was okay to concoct false information into the American people, into the body politic. So Anna is completely correct. There need to be arrests on this matter. People need to go to jail on this because this is about the republic. This is not about one president. It is about the presidency and the continuation of our country.
Flashback.
Tulsi is not playing. Watch this.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Whatever James Comey intent, he and people like him need to be held to account according to the law, which is something that he claims to have given his life for and stands by the rule of law. Fantastic. The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
When it's time to go, you can choose how. You can wait for enforcement, or you can leave on your terms. The CBP Home app lets you self-deport with dignity, directly and securely. Don't wait. Decide how it ends.
We didn't need the National Guard. Why on earth? What are they going to do?
I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you
We didn't need the National Guard. Why on earth? What are they going to do? We didn't need the National Guard. Why on earth? What are they going to do?
But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
Do you believe deploying the military to conduct law enforcement on U.S. soil is legal?
Look, we have to make certain that we protect American cities. If not for President Trump, Los Angeles would be burning right now. We had 6 ICE agents that were totally in fear of their life because local officials, an incompetent mayor, a grossly incompetent governor, refused to do their job.
Is there anything you would not find acceptable for the U.S. military to do on U.S. soil?
Look, President Trump understands what the Constitution is. He understands what the laws are. We have to protect our cities. We have to protect our ICE agents. We have to protect our federal buildings. And Gavin Newsom should maybe get off Twitter and start actually going down to L.A. and protecting his own citizens.
The courts have ruled on the Guard. They will be back under my command.
A few moments later.
Okay, why is Trump back in control of the National Guard, you guys? What the hell is going on? First I lose my pool boy Roberto, and now this? I seriously need a mani-pedi right now. A bottle of wine, cherry ice cream, and a whole season of Will and Grace. Fuck this politics thingy.
What's actually happening is they're buying voters. That's really what's happening. It's like a giant voter fraud scam. They're importing voters. It's easy to understand if you look at basic incentives. The basic incentive here is the more illegals that the Democrats can bring in, the more likely they are to win. So that's what they're going to do. That's what they have been doing, and it worked in California. California's supermajority Dem. And look at all the companies that are leaving California.
Yeah.
I mean, In-N-Out just announced they're leaving. Yep. Their headquarters leaving California.
They're moving to Tennessee.
A 4th day of rallies and protests on the streets of Los Angeles.
It was a peaceful rally. What is going on right now is also peaceful.
Here we are expecting rallies later on.
When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger.
In Los Angeles, there is a new crowd of protesters that has been building.
CNN had it that these were rallies. Now they've become protests. I'm afraid that by tonight they become riots. If we don't have the ability to stand up and stop this violence before it consumes a great city like Los Angeles, then there's no telling where this could spread.
Are hardworking, good people, and they're the backbone of our city, and they should have access to all the things that we have access to. And I just don't think they understand that it's a political pawn. I don't think they understand
It's a political game.
This is not done for compassion and kindness.
No.
This is just done to ensure that it stays blue.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's essentially a bribery with your tax dollars.
Yes, this is why the Dems will not even deport criminals.
Yeah.
Because every criminal deported is a lost vote.